going. I'm going to be starting my speech today by asking the ladies in the room a very exciting question. Are you ready? How many of you guys are planning on having a child this year? Okay. That was the reaction I was expecting. But the sad side of this is that so many women, especially teenagers, face unplanned pregnancies every day. But you're in luck because you have choices. One choice pro-life believers want to take away from you, the option of abortion. I'm here today to talk to you about the option of abortion and how banning it could have very scary consequences. A woman's body means a woman's right to choose. The U.S. declared declared abortion as a woman's right. We should regard the woman as a person and not just a container for the fetus. We cannot throw away a woman's right just because a man gets her pregnant. And then I also forgot the thing again, but the woman says, only if women have the right to choose whether or not to have children can they achieve equality with men. Men do not get pregnant and so are not restricted in the same way. Not to mention that women who become pregnant are often left to care for their children alone, or child, sorry. A 2016 United States Census Bureau's living arrangement study showed that the second most common household living arrangement besides a two-parent household was a single mother household. Pro-life believers, this means that pro-life believers want to force the woman to have their child, but who is forced to help the woman care for the child for 18 or more years? No one. Sorry. The inability to have an abortion cruelly affects the mother and child for their whole lives. Sarah Weddington, the American attorney and law professor in the Roe versus Wade case that made abortion legal and a woman's right, as stated before, made the case that a pregnancy to a woman is perhaps one of the most detrimental aspects of her life. It disrupts her body, it disrupts her education, and it disrupts her employment. It often disrupts her entire family life. Each year, 1 million American teenagers become pregnant, and 78% of these pregnancies are unintended. If a teen gives birth and keeps the baby, she will be much more likely than other young women to drop out of school, receive inadequate parental care, rely on public assistance to raise her child, develop health problems, have her marriage end in divorce, and be more likely to experience domestic abuse. When these mothers have to raise their child alone, the child becomes disadvantaged, or when the mothers have to raise their child in poverty, the child is disadvantaged. Children raised in poverty are 7 times more likely to harm themselves or be involved in violent crimes as young adults. And then here's some pictures of some kids in poverty. Pro-life believers might say that adoption is a solution to abortion, but that's not true. Adoption isn't the opposite of abortion, birth is. And in fact, most mothers who consider having an abortion do not give their baby up for adoption. Women find it more emotionally stressful and hard to give up their baby who they carried for 9 months up for adoption rather than terminating their pregnancies early, making their point irrelevant. Not to mention the health risks of carrying and delivering a child. Speaking of health risks, banning abortions will do the opposite of saving lives. Each year worldwide, about 42 million women with unintended pregnancies choose abortion, and nearly half are unsafe or illegal. Banning abortions puts women at risk by forcing them to use illegal abortionists. Some 68,000 women die of unsafe abortions annually. Of women who survive illegal abortions, 5 million will suffer long-term health complications. Pro-life believers might say that the deaths of these women is their own fault because they wanted to murder their baby. They also paint the picture that women are aborting almost full-grown babies to go along with their murder slogan. But in fact, 88% of women who actually end their pregnancies who have abortions actually end their pregnancies in the first 12 weeks when the fetus is no bigger than a small fig. Okay, that was the end of that one. You can look at that picture a little more if you would like, because it's not that, even though they want to say it's that. Also, as far as our murdering slogan, Dr. Willie J. Parker, an associate medical director of Family Planning Associates in Chicago, stated, who is also a Christian, by the way, stated that fetuses cannot live unsupported even with a respirator before 21 weeks. And number 2, that fetuses cannot feel any sort of pain until at least 29 weeks. A fetus cannot feel anything like pain because they do not yet have the brain connections to do so. Now that I've talked to you about abortions, I want to leave you with one last thought. The fact of the matter is that abortion falls under the Republican Party's beliefs. Republicans have been wanting to obviously ban abortions and also take away funding for low-income women to afford contraceptives and birth control. Title X was created in the 70s to help low-income women afford contraceptives and birth control. Recently, the Trump administration has terminated Title X funding to any clinics that offer birth control to women who need it. Pro-life believers do not want to prevent unwanted pregnancies, but instead take away women's rights, women's contraceptives, and women's rights. Thank you. I kind of messed that up.